The wedding hall glittered with chandeliers, their golden light spilling across marble floors, polished to perfection. Guests in fine suits and elegant gowns filled the room, their conversations hushed, waiting for the grand ceremony to begin. The atmosphere was thick with pride and extravagance, as though wealth itself was on display. At the center of it all stood Mr. Harrison, the bride's father. His chest swelled with arrogance as he shook hands with influential guests, his voice carrying across the hall. His wife stood at his side, a jeweled smile fixed upon her face, while the bride, his daughter, glowed in her white gown. Their laughter was sharp, their eyes sweeping the room as though everyone present existed, only to admire them. Then, quietly, the main doors opened. An older woman stepped inside. She wore a simple traditional dress, clean but modest. Her scarf rested neatly over her head, and her shoes bore the wear of many years. She carried herself with dignity, but compared to the lavishly dressed crowd, she appeared out of place. She walked slowly, her eyes searching, her heart heavy with nervousness. She had come only to witness her son's joy on this day. Mr. Harrison noticed her instantly. His gaze sharpened, and his lips curled with disdain. Stepping forward, he raised his voice so the whole hall could hear. "Who allowed you in here?" The woman lowered her head politely. "I came to see the wedding. I mean no harm," Harrison sneered. "This is not a feast for the poor. This is my daughter's wedding. You cannot simply walk in." Some guests chuckled under their breath. The bride's lips twisted into a cruel smile, and her mother stifled laughter behind jeweled fingers. The hall grew tense, but no one dared to intervene. "Since you are here," Harrison said, his voice sharp, "you should earn your place." He glanced at his polished shoes, then back at her. "Go ahead, clean them. Show some gratitude for the food you came to eat." A gasp rippled through the guests. The woman's face paled, her chest tight with shame. She could have turned away, she could have spoken up. But she thought of her son, his reputation, his happiness, his big day. For his sake, she endured. With trembling hands, she bent down. The bride burst out laughing, her mother joining her. Their cruel mirth echoed off the marble walls. Harrison stood tall, satisfied with his power. Guests whispered uneasily, but remained spectators, complicit, in silence. And then the doors opened again. The groom stepped inside. His suit was tailored, his presence commanding. He had just parked his car and entered, expecting to see joy. Instead, he froze, his eyes locked on the scene before him, and the blood drained from his face. There, on her knees, humiliated before strangers, was his mother. For a moment the world stopped. The laughter, the whispers, the glow of the chandeliers, all of it blurred. His heart pounded in his chest, rage boiling in his veins. The woman who had raised him alone, who had worked day and night to give him a future, was being treated like dirt in front of hundreds of eyes. "Stop!" His voice roared across the hall, silencing every sound. All heads turned as he strode forward, his fists clenched, his eyes blazed with fury, his jaw tight with resolve. He bent down, lifting his mother gently to her feet. "You will never kneel for anyone," he whispered, his voice trembling. He brushed the dust from her hands, his expression fierce with love and anger. Gasps echoed through the hall. The bride blinked in shock. "Who is she?" The groom straightened, his voice cutting like steel. "This woman is my mother." A wave of disbelief swept through the guests. Harrison's smug expression faltered. His wife's smile froze, and the bride stared in stunned silence. Your mother?" she stammered. "But she is dark, and you—" "Yes," he interrupted, sharply, his eyes flashing. "My father was light-skinned. I resemble him. My mother is darker, and what of it? Is skin color the measure of dignity in your eyes?" The hall was silent, shame heavy in the air. The groom continued, his voice rising. "This is the woman. who sacrificed everything, so I could stand here today. She worked with her hands until they bled, so that I could wear this suit, and you—" His eyes burned into Harrison. "You dared to humiliate her in front of the world." The bride tried to speak, her voice breaking. "We didn't know. That is the problem," he thundered. "You did not care to know. You saw a woman in modest clothes and assumed she was worthless. You laughed at her pain. You mocked her dignity. And you expect me to marry into this cruelty?" The silence pressed down like a weight. The groom turned to the officiant. "This wedding is cancelled," gasps erupted through the hall. The bride's eyes filled with tears, her mother's face twisted in shock, and Harrison sputtered in disbelief. "You cannot do this," Harrison shouted. "I can," the groom said coldly, "and I will." He wrapped his arm protectively around his mother. "This is not only the end of this wedding, it is the beginning of a lawsuit. For public humiliation, for discrimination, for every insult you hurled at my mother." The crowd buzzed in shock. Some lowered their eyes, ashamed they had stayed silent. Others whispered about the bride's family, their arrogance exposed. The groom guided his mother toward the exit. The chandeliers still sparkled behind them, but the light no longer meant anything. As they stepped into the cool night air, the groom's voice softened. "Mother, you are my honor. Today they tried to break you, but it only showed me the truth. I don't need their wealth. I have you." Her eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow, this time, but of pride. "And I have you, my son." Together, they walked away, leaving the hall behind. Its wealth, its arrogance, its shame. And for the first time that evening, dignity shone brighter than the chandeliers.